All right, I got a really good video for you guys. This is really for some of my really smart students, really ambitious students that are really looking to get an edge. We're going to talk today about spin rate. Now, we all want our fastball, really all of our pitches, but particularly think about our fastball. We want it to be more explosive, more effective. It wasn't even that long ago when they started getting the radar gun and they start quantifying velocity, how fast a ball is going. It was really even after Nolan Ryan in the 90s that started becoming a big thing. And once they started quantifying it, people started throwing harder because once you measure a variable, it's easier to isolate and improve. So nowadays you see people throwing really hard. Average fastball velocity is going way up, which makes it harder to hit. And as a result, hitters are having to change their swing, be short of the baseball, but also a little bit more of an uppercut to make sure they're on plane with that fastball and they can hit it out, because it's going to be tough to get a lot of hits when guys throw 93, 94, and higher. I mean, you see so many guys throwing 97, 98 today. It's unbelievable. So we're going to talk about spin rate. This technology, to be able to track it, is pretty new. The Doppler radar system was put into the major league stadiums in like 2015, not long ago. And what it did is it proved a lot of long held beliefs about what makes a pitch hard to hit. For example, people in baseball would always say that this fastball has late life, or this fastball rises. And now they're able to quantify it and measure it. So when someone says a fastball rises, what does that mean? No fastball can actually rise. What it means is that in general, or if you threw a pitch without any spin at all, it would go down like that. Boom, right there. But a fastball with a high spin rate that looks like it rises is just going to go down a little bit less. And the top pitchers are going to get rise versus no spin is going to be about 11 inches or so. So that's the difference versus no spin. Versus an average spin, it might be a few inches, but those few inches difference in rise versus an average spin fastball and a high spin fastball makes the ball look like it jumps or hops on you or rises on you. And so, for example, average spin rate might be about 2,200 RPM for like a low 90s fastball in the big leagues. Obviously, this is going to be different for kids at whatever level you're at, but the same principles apply. If you can increase that a few hundred RPM, they show, like, for example, in the big leagues, like a 93, 94 fastball at about 2,300 RPM, 22 to 2,300 is about a 277 batting average on average. You increase RPM 2,300, and then that batting average drops 20 points. So teams are seeing this now, and they're adjusting. Just like in the Moneyball era, everybody adjusted because they saw how good the A's were doing. Now everybody's seeing the new market inefficiency and adjusting. So, for example, the top teams on spin rate are all the top teams right now. The Yankees, the Dodgers, the Astros, big time. The Astros, well, I think not that long ago, hired a rocket scientist to help them figure out all their statistics and how to get those, small advantages. This is what teams are doing, so we've got to be aware of it. So the top teams are really looking at spin rate, and we've also seen that pitchers that go to these top teams, they all increase their spin rate. And it's not a ton. You're not going to increase 500 RPM, but maybe 100, 200. And what's interesting is these top teams decline to interview when asked about spin rate because they don't want to give away their secrets. Okay, so I've looked into this a lot because I want to give you guys some advantages, and I want to know when I'm teaching you guys what I can work on to make our fastballs better, make our spin rates faster, because this is going to be one of the new things in this coming generation of pitchers that everyone's going to be looking at. Everyone's going to try to get that edge. And there's basically a couple of things, okay? Number one, and this is Trevor Bauer does a lot of experiments on this. Trevor Bauer, he was with the Indians, he went to UCLA, and this guy is basically a rocket scientist as a pitcher. Okay, this guy's always experimenting, super smart guy, and he does experiments on it, and he found that if you increase the tackiness of the baseball, you'll get a way higher spin rate. Now, some of you guys remember the World Series with the Astros Dodgers. A lot of people were complaining that they were doctoring the baseball. They were making it tackier, and it was harder to hit. And that's probably true, okay? No one knows for sure, but it's probably true. And so, Bauer's doing these experiments, and he said he's working with different pine tar, mixing different elements together, and he says at a lower velocity, 700 or 70 miles an hour, you can increase spin rate by like 500 RPM, 300 to 500, which is huge. Okay, at a higher velocity, it's a little bit less, 200 or 300, but that's still huge. One thing to think about, okay, first of all, foreign substance like pine tar is illegal, so I can't tell you guys to start doing that kind of stuff, but realize that as you get older, this is part of the game. Everyone's trying to get an advantage, and actually it's kind of interesting because what a lot of managers will say is that they don't even care that the pitchers are doing it because they want the pitcher to get a good grip in the baseball so he doesn't bean the batter. Okay, so there's actually talk of in the future using a tackier baseball, and some teams have even been experimenting with this. And so whatever you guys can do to get a good grip, realize this is so important, okay, because your hand's going to be on the ball longer, it grips it, and at the very end you'll get that little bit extra fling right there, and it's going to make a huge difference and increase your spin rate a ton and your accuracy a ton. Okay, so that's why sometimes I get the rosin bag out there. You guys need to be experts at the rosin bag, getting a great grip. Sometimes you want a little bit of a tacky feel, and so a little bit of rosin mixed with, sometimes guys will get a little bit of sweat on their arm or whatever it is, makes a big difference. And just give you guys an idea, and like I said, I can't tell you that you should be doing anything that's illegal, but I'll give you an idea of what guys will commonly do, and this is most people, okay, in the pro level, is, for example, I was sitting in the bullpen and just watching, big league guys get in, boom, squirt some sunscreen, mix it with, a little bit of pine tar or whatever, boom, they've got the substance they need. We had a pitching coach come in, when I was in like low A, and, bring us our pitching bag full of all these substances that we could use. So we could have our glove right here and spray some nice tacky substance in there, and then boom, you get the ball, put it in your glove, boom, okay, it feels great right here. And no one says anything about it unless you're like Pineda, I think it was, who had pine tar just like all over his neck. I mean, that's just like way too obvious. You've got to, be discreet, and no one's going to say anything, and it's just part of the game. And I can't tell you guys to do it, but guys, understand, you want the ball to have a good grip, and so you can make a huge difference just by using rosin and making sure that, if it's a little bit wet, get a new one. Okay, this is so important. And the other thing, so good grip, and sometimes people are using foreign substance, all right? The other way people are talking about is just our mechanics. So, for example, like Garrett Cole talked about, he was learning from Verlander, who's one of the top spin rate guys, about staying behind the ball longer, way more out front, and things like that, getting a more transverse spin versus gyro spin. Transverse is meaning like this, which is going to affect how the ball moves with the Magnus effect, versus gyro spin like this, which is just like a bullet spin. It's not really going to move, it's going to go straight. And so these are ways that you can increase your spin rate 100, 200 RPM, and it's tough to do, but it's really also really important for getting the ball released closer to home, and also just throwing strikes, so you should be doing it anyway. One of the guys that's really increased their spin rate is Kershaw. Okay, his velocity has been going down. He used to be throwing 93, 94, now he's throwing about 90, 91, but he's increased his spin rate quite a bit, which is helping him, okay? And he's a student of the game. He's trying to stay alive, trying to stay one of the top guys, and so he's working on it. It's really impressive, and I want all you guys to do that, because especially at a young age, you guys can influence your pitching style so much, it's unbelievable. So staying behind it and really working out front, not just for strikes, but we got to get a high spin rate. We want it exploding on the hitters, and we can increase this, okay? And then, pretty soon we'll all be tracking this spin rate. I'll probably try to get the Rapsodo system out here pretty soon. We'll track your guys' spin rate, and it's going to make a huge difference. One other thing before I end the video is, if you guys don't have a good spin rate at all and it's really tough for you to increase it, one thing we can talk about is that a sinker will actually have a low spin rate typically, okay? So you can actually work the opposite way. So really in pitching, you want to be different than the norm. So some guys will have a high spin rate and you want to be at least like a standard deviation above average. Or if you have a low spin rate, you want to be like a standard deviation or more below average. So a sinker guy will have a low spin rate, which makes the ball just like a bowling ball, like that. And so that's why, for example, a lot of times guys will throw their two seam between the seams, just on the wide of the ball, so they don't get a good grip, and that ball will spin less and just sink more. And so you guys can experiment with that, and when I'm working with you, we'll experiment with it. We'll also, talk about spreading the fingers a little bit on the wide of the ball right here. Boom, kind of slips out, and then you get that good sink on it. And you can throw a low spin rate and then a high spin rate, and that's really effective. So there's a lot of ways we can make our pitches more effective, and as this game, keeps going, hitters, pitchers, we're all trying to get different advantages on each other. So I want you guys to be at the cutting edge of this stuff, okay? I don't want you being ignorant of any of the new stuff that's happening where people are getting an advantage, all right? So hopefully this was really helpful. Let me know in the comments, but I think this is, some of the best stuff that you guys can be working on. I didn't know this stuff when I was playing, and if you guys can focus on all the details to help you guys be better, it's gonna make a great difference. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll be, working with you guys, getting you guys a lot better.